union members and workers striking, and that's because it seems the employer is not willing to budge to accept the 12 to 13% wage increase offer, only offering 4 to 5%. But let's come to this, where the National Union of Metal Workers, on the other hand, this of South Africa, of course, is set to join the Transnet strike today. I'm now joined by Numsa spokesperson Phakamile Hlubi-Majola. Just tell us what the involvement actually means. Phakamile, good morning to you, and thank you so much for your time. You have now joined the strike. Why is this important for Numsa, especially given where the negotiation is right now, and we understand it's actually stalled?
Good morning, and good morning to your viewers, and thank you for having me on the show. The National Union of Metal Workers of South Africa has taken a decision to support the strike that's taking place at Transnet. Numsa supports at least 8,000 workers at Transnet, and we believe that our participation in the strike will definitely have a significant impact, particularly given that the members that we represent are workers who, amongst them, are train drivers, railway workers, and workers who maintain the rail lines. They also happen to be workers who are crane drivers. So these are members who are quite critical to the work that Transnet does. And we, as a union, believe and support wholeheartedly the demands that workers are making for a wage increase.
Yeah, I understand that, of course, at this point, Transnet not willing to budge there with the wage offer. Have you been able to engage with them as to what their reasoning might be behind them not accepting this wage increase, Phakamile?
Well, our understanding is that Transnet is only offering 5%. And unions, as you know, are demanding between 12 and 13%. And their reasons that they've given is that they are pleading poverty. They claim that they cannot afford the demands that the unions are making. As Numsa, we definitely do not support the explanation given by the employer. And we support what the unions are saying. The unions, Satao and Unto, are saying when they say that they believe that the employer could do much more. We certainly support that. For ourselves, for example, we are representing some of the lowest paid workers amongst our members, are workers who are earning packages not more than 150,000 per year, which translates to about 12,500 per month. And when you consider the cost of living, when you consider the fact that food has completely skyrocketed, fuel costs have completely gone up, and also even the very poor state of the railway lines, all of that has had a massive impact on our members. Our members actually depend heavily on the railway lines in order for them to get to work. And you have a very irresponsible management at Transnet, which took a very stupid decision, which was to cancel the security contracts at the railway lines. And as a result of that cancellation, we had utter destruction of railway lines and sabotage of the railway system. And that has had a major impact on transportation and transport costs. So now our members are depending on taxis to get to work. And this is having a huge impact on their incomes. So the situation that the Transnet management is claiming when they say they don't have money, this is a situation they created because of poor decision making. And they must own that. And if they are to be if money is to be found, then we can find that money, first of all, by radically reducing the size of the executive management. Very, very bloated executive management, which has taken disastrous decisions. And if we were to reduce the size of that management, we would certainly find the money to fund the increases of workers.
Right. We've reliably learned, Phakamile, that Public Enterprises Minister Pravin Gordhan and Labour Minister Thulasini Nxesi will be engaging with both Untu and Satao leadership regarding this crippling strike at Transnet. What's your view on both ministers' involvement now with the leadership of both unions?
Well, absolutely imperative that the ministers should get involved in this dispute, and we hope that their involvement will result in this impasse being resolved as speedily as possible. We would obviously welcome any efforts to try and resolve the strike and ensure that workers' demands are met and that we come as close as possible to finding a compromise which can suit all parties.
With that being said, Busi Mavuso has something to say about this. Phakamile, let's just listen in to her comment recently. Busi Mavuso.
This economy is rough for all of us. The fact that our economic growth has not touched 2% since 2013 is an impact on all of us. The fact that the economic growth in real terms have not touched 1%, while we have had a population growth of about 1.6%, means that we are all affected by the demographic recession, and the impacts of it are precisely this. This is the reason why we are busy in the social compact discussions, which are meant to look at interventions that are actually supposed to accelerate the economic recovery efforts of the country, and I really think that Labour is currently acting in bad faith. This is economic sabotage. For me, it doesn't make sense. We should, all of us as partners, business, government, Labour, civil society, we should all be coming together to look at what interventions do we need to put in place to ensure that we can actually turn the corner, to ensure that the expected economic growth of 1.9%, and thanks to the Transnet strike, that economic growth is not going to be 1.9% anymore. It's probably going to be about 1.2% or less, because there's 8 billion worth of goods, on a daily basis that are actually stuck at the ports, and that is what we're actually dealing with here. So does it make sense to actually, subject the country to this kind of economic sabotage when we know that we are actually in this dire situation, and when we know that we are currently seized with these discussions, at NetLeg to try and find a solution of how we actually grow our economy so that we can absorb even more, even more workers that are currently not meaningfully participating in the economy.
Phakamile, if I may just quote Busi there saying Labour is acting in bad faith. And I suppose that leads to my question to you. Are you worried as unions about your action? Business saying, it's in bad faith, saying it's bad for the economy of the country, and potentially this might lead business to other ports such as, those in Mozambique?
I think it's totally disingenuous of Busi Mavuso of BLSA to say what she said. I think she's scapegoating workers. It's quite shameless, quite frankly, that this is the position of so-called business leaders, which is to blame the worker for decisions, stupid, senseless, foolish decisions taken at the highest level. Transnet itself has admitted that it has a bloated management structure, that its salary bill is inflated, and it is because it's got a very, very bloated salary structure. And in part, that has to do with the fact that the CEO who was recently appointed brought in, on top of the management that was there, she brought in her own team. So at what point does BLSA call out the mismanagement of executives for poor decision-making that leads to a situation that we now find ourselves in where workers are on strike? I think people must remember that when workers go on strike, they pay a very heavy cost for that strike. For every single day that they are on strike, they go without pay. So they actually suffer for the strike. And the question you should ask yourself is, what would cause workers who are already poor because of the meager salaries that they earn to take such a drastic decision where they would actually which would result in them not earning an income? It shows you that these people have been provoked to a point where they have no choice but to take drastic action. Right. And what Busi Mavuso is saying is actually a reflection of why we have such poor leadership in business, where people fail to make the right decisions. And because of their failures, we now find ourselves in situations where we're in a labor strike caused by mismanagement.